Take a look at this system of equations. At first glance, it looks like a completely standard 3-variable linear algebra problem. You've got 3 variables, 3 equations, and you're probably expecting to do some standard row reduction as part of Gaussian elimination and walk away with one neat, unique solution for x, y, and z. But this third equation is hiding something. Look closer at what happens if you take equation 1 and add it directly to equation 2. 1x plus 2x gives us 3x. 1y plus 3y gives us 4y. 1z plus 4z gives us 5z. And 6 plus 20 gives us 26. And so the third equation isn't giving us any new information at all. It's just the first 2 rows added together. In this tutorial, we're going to run Gaussian elimination on this system of equations and watch how the row reduction causes an entire row to collapse into zeros and forces us to use dependent variables to solve for infinitely many solutions. Now, before we start crunching the numbers, we need to convert this system of equations into an augmented matrix. Think of this as stripping away the algebraic clutter. We want to remove the variables, so the x, y's, and z's, and the plus signs, so we can focus purely on the raw data. To do this, we just build a simple grid. On the left side, we write down the coefficients, which are just the numbers sitting in front of our variables. If a variable is sitting by itself, like the x in the top row, its coefficient is just 1. On the right side, we write down the constants, which are the results after the equal signs. And to keep track of where those equal signs used to be, we draw a clean vertical line down the middle. And so this is our system of equations when transformed into an augmented matrix. Now that we have our augmented matrix, our goal is to get it into reduced row echelon form. This means that we want to create leading ones along the diagonals with zeros below. To manipulate this matrix without changing the actual underlying maths, we are bound by rules. Using Gaussian elimination, we can perform the following row operations. So we can swap any 2 rows, we can multiply or divide a row by any non-zero number, and we can add or subtract a multiple of one row to another. So let's apply this to our augmented matrix. As we already have a 1 in row 1, column 1, we can leave the first row as it is. And so let's work on getting a 0 in row 2, column 1. And to do this, we can multiply row 1 by 2 and subtract it from row 2, which gives us 0, 1, 2, and 8. Next, we need to get a 0 in row 3, column 1. And to do this, we can multiply row 1 of the augmented matrix by 3 and subtract it from row 3 of the augmented matrix. And this gives our new row 3 of 0, 1, 2, and 8. And now, using this new matrix, we need to get a 0 in row 3, column 2. And we can do this by subtracting row 2 from row 3. And when we do this, row 3 completely collapses into a row of zeros. If we translate this row back into an algebraic equation, it says 0x plus 0y plus 0z is equal to 0. Now that's a completely true statement, but it tells us something critical about our system. We just lost an entire equation. Because our third equation was just a duplicate of the first 2 rows added together, the matrix arithmetic realized the redundancy and simply wiped it out. So where does this leave us? So we started this problem with 3 variables, x, y, and z. But right now, we only have 2 working equations left to solve for them. Whenever you have more variables than independent equations, you're looking at a dependent system with infinitely many solutions. We can't find one single unique coordinate answer for this problem. Instead, our variables are locked together in a chain of dependency. To map out how they depend on each other, we have to introduce a free variable. So how do we identify this free variable? So here's how we do it. If we look at column 1, this belongs to the variable x. Column 2 belongs to the variable y. And column 3 belongs to the variable z. Our initial goal when using Gaussian elimination was to use row reduction to get a series of 1s along the diagonal of the matrix. And we've achieved that for column 1 and column 2. These entries are called pivots. In any matrix, a row can only contain one single pivot, and it's always the very first non-zero entry in that row, moving from left to right. And in reduced row echelon form, every pivot must sit strictly to the right of the pivot in the row above it. But in column 3, row 3, there is no pivot. And therefore, z is designated as our free variable. Why do we call it free? Because it's completely unconstrained by the system. It's free to be absolutely any real number. As a result of this, we can let our free variable z equal t. And so z can be any value. And so once we pick a value for t, it triggers a domino effect through the rest of our equations, locking in the exact values for x and y. So now that our independent choice is set, let's use back substitution to determine how the rest of our variables, so x and y, depend on t. And so if we use this second row shown here, it tells us that y plus 2t is equal to 8. And therefore, y is equal to 8 minus 2t. If we now use row 1 of the matrix, so this row here, it tells us that x plus y plus z is equal to 6. If we now substitute our expressions for y and z into this equation, we get x plus 8 minus 2t plus t is equal to 6. And simplifying this, we get x equals t minus 2. And so we have z equals t, y equals 8 minus 2t, and x equals t minus 2. And so if this system of equations had a single unique solution, those three planes would all cross at exactly one solitary point, just like the corner of a room where two walls meet at the ceiling. But because our system collapsed into a dependent system with a free variable, something entirely different is happening. Let's go over to a graphing tool and see how this plays out. So let's plot our equations one by one. So x plus y plus z equals 6 is this grey plane. 2x plus 3y plus 4z equals 20 is the blue plane. And 3x plus 4y plus 5z equals 26 is the green plane. And this is the three planes altogether. As we've established algebraically, these three planes don't intersect at a single point. Instead, they meet along a continuous, infinite line of intersection. By defining our z-coordinate using a parameter t, our complete solution takes the parametric form where x is equal to t minus 2, y is equal to 8 minus 2t, and z is equal to t. And to see how these infinite solutions actually behave, we can project this path directly using a slider for our parameter t. By linking our x and y coordinate rules to this active slider, we get a dynamic point on the screen. It isn't just a static coordinate. Its position updates instantaneously based on the value of t. Watch what happens when the slider moves. As t varies continuously, the point tracks smoothly across the grid, tracing out a perfect straight line of solutions. You can see the coordinates updating in real time on the left of the screen. Every single location this point visits is a visual solution where all three of our original 3D equations balance perfectly.